Hello and welcome to the April 26th, 2026 episode of Nick's News. I am your host, Nick, brought to you by Some Budget Studios. That's right, we're putting money into this project of ours. We're live every Sunday, and I thank you all so much for tuning in or catching the replay on the Nick's News YouTube channel. This is a program dedicated to bringing good news to counter all of the bad news that we are bombarded with on a daily basis, with the hope of bringing a little bit of joy back to the world. Several of our articles are pulled from sites like Good News, Industry Tap, Live Science, Positive.news, and GoodGoodGood.co, but we appreciate everything sent in by you, the Nick's Newsies. Good evening, everybody. Hey, Becky. Hey, Dirty Rogue. Hey, Nico. So happy to have you all with us tonight. This has been an amazing month of just fantastic articles, so... yeah, gosh, we're going to be going into May soon. Where is this? This month is just flying by. So I guess let's wrap things up for the spree of news brews we've been doing. So this has been the month of my birth. April is the month that I was born in. And lucky for me, Point Brewing Company released a 4-pack of absolutely amazing stouts that are seemingly tailored to my tastes specifically. I don't know if they knew it was my birthday, but... it's worked out pretty well. So it's time for a nightcap. This is our last episode of April, and this is the last of the 4. And since I am brutally Italian, why not close things out with Nocturnal Nosh Amaretto, a 13.5% ABV, high-octane, Imperial barrel-aged pastry stout. Cheers and happy birthday to me. Now it is a big stout, so of course it's going to go in the limited edition Harpoon Snifter. This thing has been getting so much use lately. We don't need the Balisong bottle opener because it's a can, so we'll just blow the gain on the audio. Put that right into the red. And we'll get into the theatrics of a 5-minute pour. Now, these stouts are not the typical motor oil that we've been drinking. These are a little on the thinner side, but that is all right. Pastry stouts vary wildly between thin and thick, depending on the manufacturer. It's still dark as night. Wow. All of these have just been super dark. Good to the last drop. Oh. Oh. Amaretto. Look at the color on that. Just darkness. Dessert darkness. All right. Shoutouts. Graphics by Ashford specializes in graphic design, video editing, and effects. And photo editing, too. Besides being Nick's News' awesome graphic artist, Grayson bills himself as a bomb-ass bitch. You can contact him through his Instagram, and a link is in the description of this video. To Grayson, for everything that you do with Graphics by Ashford, for Nick's News, and for the other customers that you have that you service, cheers. Hey, Ed. Oh! 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 That amaretto just, hit so hard. I'm gonna try that again. Oh. Oh, my God. Oh, that's a good one. That is a fantastic news brew. Ed said, was that a triple take from one drink? It was a concentrated double. Oh my gosh. This is a good one to end this 4-pack on. This amaretto is just amaretto. Oh my Lord. All right. Second shout out is going to go out to my cousin Joey, who celebrated an absolutely amazing wedding on 420. I taken a look at all. Sadly, I was not able to attend, but I did. I've looked over all of the Instagram posts, all the Facebook posts. It's all looked absolutely amazing. So a huge congratulations to Joey and Kenya on their marriage. Cheers. The other thing is it drinks every bit like a 13.5%. Hey, Charlie. Oh. Wow. Wowzers. That beer. All right. Ugh. News quote. People watched launches and tears ran down their faces, and then their kids would go jump into an encyclopedia or look online and read about rocket science. That's power. This quote comes from Victor Jerome Glover Jr., who was born in 1976, who is an American naval officer, a test pilot, and a NASA astronaut who served as the pilot for the Artemis II mission and became the first person of color to travel to the vicinity of the moon. And I really like that quote. I really like the thought of it with the different generations. So a generation before us, or in some cases several generations before you, the viewers, went to the moon and back and did it multiple times. And we grew up with that science. We grew up with the pictures and the video of the Saturn V launch, rocket launches, and of these manned capsules going to the moon and going to the lunar surface, or in some cases traversing amazing distances and unbelievable problems to get back home. And the power of science, especially on young minds, is amazing and something to behold. So people watched launches and tears ran down their faces. And then their kids would go jump into an encyclopedia or look online and read about rocket science. That's power. From Victor Jerome Glover Jr. Cheers, sir. That is such a good news brew. And I really hope, with regards to the Artemis II, Artemis III, the whole Artemis program, and everything that's coming from this new space race, I hope that it empowers and inspires another generation to look to the stars and say, how can we live amongst them? So, bug update. It's been relatively peaceful here in my study, the bug room. Hopefully the warmer temperatures, it's like 77 in here right now, I think. Yeah, it's about 77 in this room in particular. Hopefully these warmer temperatures will draw out Elmira, our giant vinegaroon, from her hibernation and kick off her awake season. She's always a treat to watch. She's right here to my right, and is just a spectacular creature to observe. So we'll see what happens. Ripley and Little John have been extremely active with the heat, which means, I get to see them a bit more. They're out sooner, and it's really fun to watch them moving about. Sue has mostly just been guarding his burrow like he normally does. Since he became what might be his adult stage in life, I don't know. He might have another molt to go, but he's pretty big. So this could be his last molt. He's gotten to be a very, he's an introvert at this point, which is normal for their species. It turns out that there are 3 males in the Cuddle Puddle, the Madagascar hissing roaches, and they have been fighting all night. While producer Donna and I were getting ready for the episode, they have been just hissing constantly and vying for lead singer of the Cuddle Puddle, the group of them, right behind me, and it has been annoying. They've also been fighting incredibly hard and throwing one another about their home, so I might have to separate one. Producer Donna suggested a forever nap with Sue. We'll see if it gets that bad and comes to that. So, otherwise, all is well in the bug room. All right. With all that out of the way, let's get into our broadcast. And our broadcast are good news. And our good news broadcast is broken up into 4 major categories, and those categories are science and technology, health and medicine, flora and fauna, aka plants and animals, and wholesome notes, the really nice articles that we like to end on. So we are going to start off in category 1, science and technology. We've got one article in here tonight, and we called this one Lighting Up the House of Mouse. I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to check it out. And all of our articles that we review are in the links. They're in links in our description, so you can check them out at your leisure. And I implore you to do so because the websites that we find these at are absolutely amazing. They deserve the views. So check these out when you get a chance. Becky says, sounds like Sonic and a new dog named Zeus. Walt Disney World says its new solar facility can produce 100% of the daytime power for all of its parks, and the scale is equivalent to 366 football fields. Because here in America, we will measure anything without using a unit of measurement. That's also the size of Monaco, so keep that in mind. This was published to Tech Radar on April 22nd of 2026 by Rowan Davies. The happiest place on Earth, Walt Disney World, now wants to snatch the title of the most energy-efficient place on Earth, as it unveils its newest solar facility in Levy County, Florida. As per its announcement, the addition of its 4th solar facility means that all of its sites combined can produce up to 100% of the daytime power needs of the entire resort. It was built in collaboration between Bronson Solar and the Central Florida Tourism Oversight District, but its size is what creates the shock factor. The solar project spans a mammoth 484 acres, or roughly the size of 366 football fields, and provides 74,500 kilowatts of power to supply clean electricity to every park on the resort and their amenities. Compared to its existing 5,000 kilowatt Hidden Mickey solar site, it's a monster upgrade. But when you take Walt Disney World's total size and realize how much energy it needs to operate, it's difficult to wrap your head around that. Now that Walt Disney has increased the number of solar facilities, this means that the resort now has a staggering 600,000 solar panels that feed power to every nook and cranny of the resort. For starters, its 4 theme parks, the Magic Kingdom, Epcot, Hollywood Studios, and the Animal Kingdom, and 2 water parks are some of the biggest consumers of the resort's solar power farms. When you factor all the rides, parades, and vendors it needs to power across these sites, it's already a massive demand. But there's so much more Walt Disney World beyond this. On top of the energy needed to keep the parks alive, there are over 20 themed hotels and hundreds of restaurants and dining sites that also require a large slice of the solar pie. Not forgetting the endless transportation options that run for hours on end, and non-stop on-site entertainment and retail facilities. When you put all this into perspective, the fact that Walt Disney World has accumulated enough solar panels to provide clean electricity for all daytime operations is a huge environmental achievement, yet still an unbelievable one. Disney's focus on sustainable energy isn't just limited to its Florida home, but it stretches across all Disney resorts across the world. The Disneyland Resort in Hong Kong just completed the second phase of developing the country's first and largest solar car park canopy, with 400 panels spanning 80 parking spaces. Similarly, Shanghai Disney Resort has fitted solar panels on backstage rooftops, cutting down on emissions by more than 2,500 metric tons. On top of these resorts, Disney has built solar facilities across its Tokyo and Paris resorts. It also hasn't forgotten about the Disney Cruise Line, fitting solar plants to power Castaway Cay and Lookout Cay sites in the Bahamas. That is insanity. That is absolutely wild. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes with Disney. But in this instance, this is something absolutely incredible and is some amazing good news in terms of green energy and conservation. So, to Walt Disney World for installing 366 football fields worth of space of solar panels to basically power all the daytime needs of their Florida resort. Cheers. House of Mouse. Becky says, I got a temporary roommate and she brought her dog. It's going good, just a little loud. Becky, that's very kind of you. Thank you very much for being such a kind person. And Ed posted musical notes. Come with me and we'll be at the front of power generation. And now I'll stop before the copyright strikes rain down upon us. Cheers to Becky for helping out a friend. Cheers to Ed for sending in a little bit of music for me to sing. Cheers. Oh, this beer. Maybe we'll start that as a thing. You've got to get clearance from producer Donna on that, but maybe if somebody posts something with musical notes and maybe I'll sing it. Hey, Norse Raven. It's nice to see the Norse Ravens in. Christian posts, in a world of copyright violations. Now we're definitely getting struck. Cease and desists will just come in by the millions, you know. This YouTube channel will definitely be on their radar. Becky says, love the random musical. I'm glad you do. All right. So we only had the one science and technology, so we're going to bump out of science and technology. We're going to go on to category 2, health and medicine. And we've got 2 articles in here. As many of you are aware, if you've watched Nick's News before, or if you just breathe, perhaps you hate cancer as much as I do. So what we've got here is a cancer, fuck cancer article. Dirty Rogue says, here comes the subpoena. So I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to check it out. Pancreatic cancer mRNA vaccine shows lasting results in an early trial. This was published to NBC News on April 18th of 2026 by Caitlin Sullivan, Marina Kopp, and Ann Thompson. Donna Gustafson had a harder time than usual shaking off the jet lag from her 22-hour journey from Florida to Australia. 2 days into her trip, her skin took on the yellow hue of jaundice. Gustafson, who is now 72 and lives in Delray Beach, Florida, went to the emergency room for fluids, thinking she was dehydrated. In a surreal moment, the Australian doctors instead told Gustafson that she had pancreatic cancer. They were very adamant about it, Gustafson said. This is absolutely pancreatic cancer. She and her husband, Ed, were on the next flight home. 9 days later, Gustafson had surgery to remove the stage 2 cancer from her pancreas. The day before she was supposed to start chemotherapy, her doctors told her about a clinical trial exploring the use of personalized messenger mRNA vaccines for cancer. This is actually a technology or a medical technology that we have discussed in previous episodes of Nick's News, and I am all for this technology and the continued exploration of its unbelievable abilities. So let's keep going. It was February of 2020. months before mRNA vaccines for COVID would become one of the world's hottest commodities. Very soon after, Gustafsson was the first person to get one for pancreatic cancer. It was a no-brainer, Gustafsson said of joining the trial. I knew that statistically, the odds were against me. Less than 13% of people diagnosed with pancreatic cancer live for more than 5 years, making it one of the deadliest cancers. There is no routine screening for pancreatic cancer, such as a colonoscopy or a mammogram, and symptoms typically don't show up until the disease is advanced. Once detected, there are few options for treatment, and only about 20% of cases are operable, which is currently required for someone to be eligible to join a pancreatic cancer vaccine trial. The vaccines work as a type of so-called immunotherapy, harnessing a person's immune system to fight cancer cells. The goal is not to eliminate existing tumors, but instead to stamp out lingering undetected cancer cells and later any new cells that form before they can cause a recurrence. Patients still have surgery to remove the tumors, and after that, the mRNA vaccines are personalized for each individual using genetic material taken from their unique tumor cell. In a clinical trial, after getting the vaccine, the patients also received chemotherapy, which is standard post-op treatment for operable pancreatic cancer. Traditional immunotherapies can be very effective, but they only work in about 20% of all cancers, leaving the majority of cancers without immune-based treatments, said Dr. Vinod Balachandran, director of the Alain Center for Cancer Vaccines at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center in New York City, who is leading the trial that Gustafsson joined. Pancreatic cancer is a poster child for these difficult-to-treat cancers, Balachandran said, and experts have long believed that people with pancreatic cancer could not generate an immune response against tumors. But after 9 doses of the personalized vaccine, Gustafsson is one of the 8 people in a 16-person phase 1 trial who did just that, producing an army of immune cells called T cells that seek out and destroy tumor cells. This is one of the hardest cancers to generate an immune response, let alone such a potent one, Balachandran said. Balachandran and his team published the results of the phase 1 clinical trial last year. At the time, the patients, all of whom had early-stage disease before joining the trial, had only been tracked for just over 3 years, and it was unclear whether the immune response would last and lead to the patients living longer, he said. New data collected during the trial's 6-year follow-up period shows that it may. These findings will be presented on Monday at an American Association for Cancer Research's annual meeting in San Diego. 6 years after treatment, Gustafsson and 6 others who responded to the treatment are still alive, along with 2 of the 8 people who did not respond. 2 of the responders, including the one who died, had a cancer recurrence. Gustafsson's cancer has not come back. The most important finding here is that the people who mount a response to the vaccine live longer than those who do not, said Dr. William Fried Pastor, a physician scientist at Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, who was not involved with the trial. He cautioned, however, that the results come from a very small group of patients. More research is still needed. Genentech and BioNTech, the 2 drug makers behind the vaccine, have already launched a larger phase 2 clinical trial. And Balachandran and his team are digging into the specifics of what appears to be happening with the immune system. Their latest findings detail how 2 important types of T cells likely work in tandem to create immune response, a durable immune response, that is, which is paramount to long-term survival. Early on, the team was able to see that the people who responded to the vaccines made a type of T cell called the killer T cell. These are the immune cells that actually attack cancer. The follow-up research found that the longevity of these immune cells appeared to be bolstered by helper T cells that the vaccines also appear to prompt. The assumption is that for an optimal cancer vaccine response, you would want to make both, Balachandran said. Earlier research tested mRNA vaccines to treat people with advanced cancer with disappointing results. So we thought we didn't have a vaccine that would work, said Dr. Robert Vonderheide, the president-elect of the American Association for Cancer Research and director of the Abramson Cancer Center at the University of Pennsylvania. Ed says, T-cells, shudders in video game nerd. Becky just said, that reminds me of an anime I watch called Cells at Work. I was looking to see if it's in here. It's not. I'm going to be right back real quick. Where did I put it? I thought it was up here. Oh, where did I put it? So, a while back, I did a cosplay. Let me go find it. Okay. I cosplayed a killer T-cell. Oh, producer Donna is not happy about that. Dead air, sigh. We're going to have to talk about this, Nick. Grumbles in producer. Yeah, Becky made me have to go get this thing. So I cosplayed as a killer T-cell at a couple of conventions, actually, and I had a fantastic time. I absolutely love this hat. A friend of mine made it for me. This is so cool. And there's pictures of me floating around somewhere with my full outfit. But yeah, so my killer T outfit, or hat. Maybe I'll wear this when I read these. Where'd we leave off? Here we go. There it is. All right, we'll start off again. In reality, newer research like this phase 1 trial suggests the immunotherapy may work in less advanced cancer. It's only when we shifted our mindset that we started to see what vaccines can work in some patients, said Vonderheide, who was not involved with the trial. Now that we're getting into the mechanisms of how these work, we might be able to go back and see how we could make them work in people with more advanced cancer. The results are promising, but early, he cautioned. There is always a subgroup of people diagnosed with pancreatic cancer who survive longer than 5 years. Which is an important thing to keep in mind with any novel therapy, Vonderheide said. There could be another factor underlying why some patients mount a response that could be the reason they are also surviving, Fried-Pastor also said. Still, both Fried-Pastor and Vonderheide agreed that early results that show at least some people with pancreatic cancer can respond to immunotherapies is an important step forward in this field. Another team is working on an off-the-shelf vaccine that targets a protein called KRAS, or KRAS. that is present in as many as 90% of pancreatic cancers. In a small early trial, about 85% of the participants mounted an immune response to the protein. Having multiple immunotherapies work is welcome, von der Heide said. The moment we have something that we think is effective, cancer cells find a way to work around it, and the solution to that is to have multiple tools to fight it, he said. There is a correction. A previous version of this article misstated who launched the Stage 2 clinical trial. It is the drug makers Genentech and BioNTech, not Dr. Vinod Balachandran. Dr. Vinod Balachandran was in charge of the Stage 1. The drug makers Genentech and BioNTech are doing the second one. So, to everybody involved with working on an immunotherapy to fight pancreatic cancer, especially one that could potentially just be an over-the-counter medication, cheers. Charlie says, damn it, I walked away and missed a hat. Yep, you missed the killer tea hat. I think I'm going to keep this around, and I think I'm going to bring it out, especially for these cancer-hating articles. So, that cosplay was awesome, by the way. I rocked that cosplay. All right, call this next one, Listen to This. I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to check this one out. Ed says pics or it didn't happen. Ed, you're going to have to try to find him. You're going to have to try to find the pictures of me in a cosplay as a killer T cell from the anime Cells at Work, based off the manga Cells at Work. Actually, I think I have one on my phone here. Oh yeah, look at that. It is on my phone. I do have them. All right. Back to the article. A landmark moment for the field. FDA approves first ever gene therapy for inherited deafness. This was published to Live Science on April 23rd of 2026 by Nicoletta Lanice. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration, or the FDA, has approved the first ever gene therapy for inherited deafness. The therapy, called OCTANE, is approved to treat a form of hearing loss that's caused by mutations in the OTOF gene, which codes for a protein called otoferlin. Cells in the inner ear need otoferlin to translate vibrations into signals that can be interpreted by the brain. When people carry two defective copies of the OTOF gene, one from each parent, this line of communication between the inner ear and the brain is cut, resulting in severe to profound hearing loss. OCTANE is a one-time treatment that uses harmless viruses to deliver working copies of OTOF into the ear. In a trial including 20 participants, 16 showed improved hearing within 6 months, and one additional person showed improvement within a year of treatment. Some participants improved to the point that they could hear whispers, while all the participants who responded to the therapy reached a level of hearing that does not typically require a cochlear implant, meaning the use of a device to bypass the inner ear and restore some hearing. Many people with this form of hearing loss get cochlear implants, but the implants don't perfectly replicate natural hearing and require maintenance over time. Based on the trial results, OCTANE was approved for both children and adults with OTOF-related hearing loss. The therapy's maker, Regeneron, announced Thursday, April 23rd. The company has said that the treatment itself will be free to patients in the U.S., not including out-of-pocket administration costs that might be dictated by a patient's doctor and insurance. The FDA approval of this gene therapy is a landmark moment for the field and, most importantly, for patients, said Zhengyi Chen, an associate scientist at the Eaton Peabody Laboratories at Mass Eye and Ear and an associate professor at Harvard Medical School. Chen has been involved in a trial of a similar gene therapy for OTOF-related deafness in China. Chen said that the data from the trial convincingly demonstrates both safety and efficacy. The approval process was very fast, he added, taking less than 3 years from when the first patient was dosed in 2023. Odermany was approved through a special FDA fast-track process, in part because there was no existing treatments for OTOF-related hearing loss that address its underlying cause. The speed underscores both the robust clinical results and the urgent unmet medical need for children with OTOF-mediated congenital hearing loss, Chen told Live Science. We are incredibly encouraged by this milestone, which will serve as a catalyst to accelerate the development of future genetic therapies for hearing loss. OTOF-related hearing loss affects about 50 newborns per year in the U.S. The new therapy is approved for those with 2 defective copies of the OTOF gene and no history of using a cochlear implant in the ear intended for treatment. Installing these implants damages the inner ear, so a gene therapy is unlikely to work, but those who have only one cochlear implant can get the gene therapy in the opposite ear. Patients seeking the therapy must also have intact outer hair cells, which are special cells in the ear that can act as amplifiers, increasing the movement of the eardrum in response to the sound. An international trial testing Odermany is still ongoing and is recruiting children under 18 in the US, the United Kingdom, Spain, Germany, and Japan. I've witnessed firsthand my trial participant responding to their mother's voice, dancing to music, and interacting with the world. And these moments are now possible for more children born with this specific form of hearing loss. Dr. A. Elliot Shearer, an otolaryngologist. It's another new one for us today. At Boston Children's Hospital, associate professor at Harvard Medical School and trial runner, said in the Regeneron statement. That is amazing. To everybody involved with producing a gene therapy drug that can help people regain hearing and undo gene-caused hearing loss. Cheers. All right, that's going to take us out of health and medicine. We're going to move on to category 3, flora and fauna, aka plants and animals. And we've got one article in this section, and it is an I Like Turtles article, because I like turtles. So I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to check this one out. Luxury resort saves over 600 injured sea turtles and helps hatch 120,000 more. This was published at goodgoodgood.co on April 20th of 2026 and updated on April 22nd of 2026 by Megan Cook. On Friday, April 17th, legendary oceanographer and marine biologist Sylvia A. Earle took the TED stage in Vancouver, Canada. In her TED Talk, she explained the importance of hope spots, or global sites that are scientifically identified as critical to the health of the ocean. Sci-Fi Sense says, sea turtles are my favorite animal. Awesome story. Already got an A+. Today, there are 169 hope spots in 116 countries, Earle said. In French Polynesia, at the Tetiaroa? Yeah. In French Polynesia, at the Tetiaroa Hope Spot, Richard and Mary Bailey are pioneering science-based tourism with a conservation twist. She said, they have fiercely protected the sea turtles' nests and really taken action to try to restore a place that was losing the wildlife that the ocean needs to have a secure planet. Earle explained that for years, the Bailey family has spearheaded conservation efforts at Marlo Brando's luxury resort in Tetiaroa Atoll, which lies 30 miles north of Tahiti. By partnering with local nonprofits, Tetiaroa Society and Te Mana o Te Moana, Spirit of the Ocean, The Brando Resort has helped foster the atoll's long-term sea turtle nesting program, protecting more than 120,000 hatchlings across a decade and rehabilitating over 600 injured and sick adult turtles. Just a few years ago, there were only a very few turtles. Now, there are hundreds with protection, Earl said. Protection works. With the Tetiaroa Society, the Baileys are engaging tourists, scientists, kids, and CEOs in a business plan that couples tourism with revenue that is generated with exploration, research, and conservation, she continued. It's a blue-green, nature-positive model that generates income and jobs, and a healthy ocean. The Brando itself is a luxury eco-resort that is carbon neutral, platinum LEED certified, and uses sustainable energy measures through deep-sea water air conditioning, solar power, and biofuel from local coconut oil. Years ago, the Brando Resort played a key role in the conservation of Tetiaroa by donating $1 million in research station, or they donated $1 million research station. Gosh, I can't talk tonight. They donated a $1 million research station to the Tetiaroa Society. Experts from around the world fly into the station to study and discuss habitat restoration, shark ecology, coral reef restoration, and more. As the Tetiaroa Society runs an education program on the island for local and international students, and, during turtle season, tourists are invited to join night observation treks with Te Mana o Te Moana biologists. Dr. Cecil Gaspar, the founder and executive director of Te Mana o Te Moana, said that the island is home to 4 turtle species: the green turtle, the hawksbill turtle, the olive ridley turtle, and the loggerhead turtle, which are all considered endangered or threatened. Sea turtles are iconic marine species on the front line of climate change threats, he said in a press release. Te Mana o Te Moana's Green Sea Monitoring Program on Tetiaroa Atoll has been an outstanding success. We are proud to be part of Marlon Brando's vision for a new conservation model where tourists, communities, teachers, students, and researchers all play an important role in protecting our natural resources. That is fantastic. To everybody involved with the Tetiaroa Hope Spot, with Marlon Brando's luxury resort in the Tetiaroa Atoll, everybody as part of the Tetiaroa Society and the Te Mana o Te Moana group. Cheers. I like turtles. Christian said, mood to not being able to talk. I couldn't pronounce the word statistics the other day, and I had to give a demo that involved that word many, many times. Christian, I'm so sorry to hear that. All right, so that's going to get us out of flora and fauna. We are going to move on to category 4, the wholesome notes. And we've got 2 wholesome notes to finish things off tonight. Disney's really knocking it out of the park with a second Disney article here. We call this one Disney Sign-Along Songs. And I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to check this out. And again, all of the articles that we present and talk about on our episodes are in the descriptions of our videos, and we implore you, please check these out. And check out these sites for more good news, because these really are great sources of good news. Disney reanimates 3 of the studio's popular song sequences in sign language. This was published to Animation Magazine on April 21st of 2026 by Ramin Zahed. On April 27th, or tomorrow, as of the recording of this episode, in celebration of National Deaf History Month, Disney Plus will premiere Songs in Sign Language, 3 animated musical sequences from recent Walt Disney Animation Studios features, newly reimagined and animated in American Sign Language, or ASL. Directed by veteran Disney animator and director Hiram Osmond, the special presentation features The Next Right Thing from Frozen 2, We Don't Talk About Bruno from Encanto, and Beyond from Moana 2. Osmond and producers Heather Blodgett and Christian Chen worked in collaboration with artistic director DJ Kurz and his team at Los Angeles' Tony Award-winning Deaf West Theater to create the new versions of these beloved songs. Osmond led a team of more than 20 animators who worked with sign language reference expressly created for songs in sign language. Kurz, working with sign language reference choreographer Cataline Sacchetti, I think it might be Sacchetti. Sign language reference choreographer Cataline Sacchetti, and 8 performers from the Deaf West Theater, and they reimagined and choreographed signed lyrics by focusing on concepts and emotion instead of a word-for-word transcription. In the majority of cases, we created entirely new animation. There were a lot of adjustments that we had to do within the animation to be true to the original intention, says Osmond, who grew up with a father who is hard of hearing. I never learned sign language when I was growing up, so I felt a lot of regret because I couldn't connect with my dad, he notes. With this project, I just wanted to do something that would take down the barriers. This reimagining of Disney animation musical numbers helps bring down barriers and allows us to connect in a special way with our audiences in a deaf community. Or in the deaf community, sorry. I'm grateful that the studio got behind making something so impactful. For Osmond, who had his first credit as an animator on Bolt back in 2008, went on to supervise the character of Olaf in Frozen in 2013, and was head of animation on Moana in 2016, making songs in sign language was personal and profoundly rewarding. He says the team decided to zero in on 3 songs that would deliver a range of energy and emotion. We Don't Talk About Bruno is a very different song than The Next Right Thing, which is much more subdued and emotional. We really wanted to play Sorry, this sentence screwed me up. We really wanted to play with that difference. Also, technology changes very quickly, so we wanted to pick some sequences that we could still access and utilize within our current animation toolset. Producer Heather Blodgett adds, From the very beginning of this project, Hiram's goal was not just to put sign language over the existing performance, but to reimagine the choreography and performance of the song in a way that would translate with ASL. We collaborated with DJ Kurz and the great folks over at Deaf West Theater to think through how each shot translates and what the different implications of movement should be. They drew from an incredible community of deaf performers who were well versed in this style of storytelling. Cataline Sacchetti did a great job in her role as sign language reference choreographer. Kurz notes, when Hiram approached me with a potential collaboration involving the integration of ASL into the deep fabric of Disney storytelling, it was an immediate yes for us. My reaction was a mix of excitement and a deep sense of responsibility. Disney stories are the universal language of childhood. The chance to bring our language into that world was a historic opportunity to reach a global audience. I think Disney films were some of the first films I ever saw in theaters that I can remember. My mom would take me to them, and I grew up loving them, and still do to this day, so it really is something else to see that Disney continues to reinvent these, but also to add to them and be inclusive with them, especially for the hearing impaired. There are moments when Disney animation creates something that is truly remarkable, adds producer Christina Chen. When Hiram came to us with the idea of reimagining some of our iconic musical numbers using sign language, I immediately started thinking to myself, how is he going to do that? He had it all figured out and knew how he was going to build a team to get this done. Put a challenge in front of someone who has passion for an idea, and it's amazing what they can achieve. Two of the featured songs, The Next Right Thing from Frozen 2 and Beyond from Moana 2, spotlight a single character performing the song. This allowed Kurz, Sacchetti, and the actors from Deaf West Theater to concentrate on the performance and interpret how the lyrics could work in ASL. In the case of Beyond, Kurz cast a Samoan actor who is deaf to ensure that the cultural nuances of movement were accurate. Similarly, for We Don't Talk About Bruno, Colombian actors who were deaf were cast, ensuring authenticity. I used The Next Right Thing as a proof of concept because it focuses on a single performer and is a very dramatic song, says Osmond. Clark Spencer, Disney Animation president, really wanted us to do We Don't Talk About Bruno from Encanto, which is a fun and elaborate production with nearly 30 characters and a lot of choreography. We knew that it was going to be a ton of work, but I'm glad he pushed for it because it turned out great and really challenged us to do something special. According to Osmond, from the very beginning of the project, we were never going to take sign language and just slap it on the character performances. In the majority of cases, we created entirely new animation. Our directive to the animators was for them not to be bound by what was there. Our approach was to use the sign language reference footage shot with the actors from Deaf West as a base structure, but then to adjust that for the texture of the shot. For instance, sometimes the signing would be big, and we would work with the Deaf West Theater and the performers to find the subtlety needed for the moment. There were a lot of adjustments made within the animation to be true to the original intention of the scene. In his role as head of animation on the project, Joel Reed led a team of artists and animators who shared Osmond's desire to create something unique and impactful. Reed and several other animators on the project had worked on the 3 original productions from which these songs were taken. When I first heard that Hiram was doing this project, I begged to be a part of it, recalls Reed. I had a personal connection through a deaf friend of mine, who I got to know when we dropped our kids off at school together. With a few other dads, we became a tight group, and he taught us about deaf culture and sign language. We learned a lot from him, and even took some classes together. Sign language looks like an easy language to learn, but it's not. It's not like a conversation or a word-to-word translation. It's like taking a story and making it a poem, especially with songs. It's like signing concepts instead of words. Hiram would talk about it as being like ballet. In animating sign language, there's a lot more going on than just moving the hands, Reed, whose many credits as a Disney animator include the 3 spotlighted films, as well as Raya and the Last Dragon, Zootopia, and Big Hero 6, explains. When your hands move, they move your torso, and you have to get the body to support what the hands are doing. The expressions on the face also support the singing. Hiram would talk about how the eyebrows could express a question or add to a sense of confusion. Working on this project has been incredibly rewarding, and it's my favorite project since I've been at Disney, concludes Reed. During breaks in the reference shoots with DJ and the actors, we would review and play the footage that had been shot. Every time from the first scene, someone would start crying. I haven't experienced anything like it before. There was just this concentrated emotional connection. It's so visually beautiful and appealing. It's a dance that feels like poetry in motion. All 3 songs in sign language shorts arrive on Disney Plus, streaming on April 27th. To everybody involved at Disney for taking 3 incredible songs that can be very impactful and deciding to do them up animated in sign language to continue to be inclusive to incorporate many people into these projects and these emotions. Cheers. That was a long one, and I thank you all for staying with us on that one. Christian says, children's media is typically an excellent way to learn a new language, so I imagine that sort of thing would apply to ASL as well. I hope so. I know I'm going to check these out tomorrow. All right, we've got our last article of the night, and we called this one, Tales on Trails Helps Find Forever Homes. I will copy this into the chat if y'all want to check this out. At this animal shelter, volunteers can borrow a dog to take on a hike. It's leading to more adoptions. This was published at goodgoodgood.co on April 5th of 2026 by Cameron Baker. The Anchorage Animal Care and Control Shelter in Alaska has become a bit of a revolving door since it launched its Tales on Trails program in the spring of 2025. It's simple. Program volunteers are paired with a pooch for 48 hours, giving them and the dog quality time together outside of the shelter's kennels. It has a multitude of benefits. Volunteer numbers have skyrocketed, dogs are getting adopted faster, and the pups are noticeably happier when they have more time out of the cages. They're more in a state that they would be at if they were living in a home versus just being cooped up all day, and I think that's the biggest relief on our end. Joel Jorgensen, the shelter's community outreach manager, told Alaska Public Media. It's good for the dogs, it's good for the people adopting them, and it's helping animals get out the door a lot faster. Since launching the program, Jorgensen said he's seen over 400 volunteer applications come in, with people ready to befriend a temporary companion for nature walks, slumber parties, and maybe even a trip through the drive-thru for a pup cup. The idea, Jorgensen told the Northern Light, is to avoid the whole doggy prison mindset. He and his staff have already seen a huge change, with dogs returning calmer and more relaxed. Dogs are also evaluated and carefully selected for the program, so they are a good match with their volunteers. We can help guide people to pick the right dog, Jorgensen told the Northern Light. The last thing we want is someone planning to hike Flat Top who ends up with a lazy dog that just wants to hang out on the couch. And if volunteers already have a pup at home, Jorgensen's team will facilitate dog-to-dog introductions so newcomers can go on adventures with no issue. I think animals would be staying a lot longer in the shelter without this program, Jorgensen told the Northern Light. The more people we can get involved, whether it's UAA students, families with kids, or visitors who miss their dogs back home, the better. It really does change lives. One volunteer, Sable McGovern, immediately felt compelled to sign up. Although she finds it hard to return the dogs to the shelter, she said she knows it makes a difference. I feel like I could go home and sit on my phone, or I could go home and watch a TV show or something. Or I could make this dog's entire day and let her go outside and let her run around, McGovern told Alaska Public Media. Everyone deserves second chances. Those interested in volunteering can stop by the shelter to fill out an application and complete brief training session. Volunteers can also contact the shelter at accs@Anchorage, anchoragegeek.gov, and it's GEAK, for more information. To everybody involved at the Anchorage Animal Care and Control Shelter with their Tales on Trails program, helping to meet pooches up with people that just want to go out for a walk and take them with them, helping to find forever homes for these dogs. Cheers. All right. 6 amazing articles today. All good news in one way or another. Thank you all again for tuning in or catching the replay on the Nick's News YouTube page or channel. Again, we're live every Sunday, and our next episode is going to be on May 3rd of 2026. We encourage participation, so by all means, if you feel inclined, you can message us or post suggestions for news brews, shoutouts, news quotes, and especially good news articles that we can present on future episodes of our production. If possible, we'd like a variety of articles spread out across our 4 categories, and those categories again are science and technology, health and medicine, flora and fauna, aka plants and animals, and wholesome notes, the nice ones we like to end on. Like Disney reanimating 3 songs to include ASL, or specifically for ASL, and a program that's just having people help walk dogs while they take a hike. You can message us on Facebook or Instagram or email us at somebudgetstudios@gmail.com. Links are in the description of our video. Feel free to like, subscribe, or comment on all of our content across all of our platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and especially TikTok. We do TikToks. We actually post news nibbles on TikToks, so it's pretty fun. We're trying to get joy out into the algorithm. We're bombarded with bad news on all of these platforms, and we are just continuing to try to bring in a little bit of hope. So, thank you all so much. Please no SEO improvement advertisements. We're not interested. It's because of all of you that Nick's News continues to grow. Becky asked, where's the hat? I'll put the hat back on as a killer T-cell. And really, y'all continue to help grow Nick's News. Our numbers continue to go up. And it's because of you guys. We do minimal advertising. We're not hooking up with big companies. We're just growing good news and trying to spread it as best we can. And it's because of all of you that we continue to grow. And I really cannot thank you all enough. I think from the Nick's News team, really thank you. So, as always, thank you again. I love you all. Have a great night, and I will play us out.